what we leading with?
Congratulations on passing my test. Then go through something from there.
Okay, good job.
Yeah, let's just go from there.
Here, you want to go with me?
Hey y'all.
Hey. Hello.
We're running a few minutes late today. Or only 1 minute. We did good.
Yeah, I was about to say she running late. We on time.
We usually right on time though, so can't nobody say nothing. And we don't have no viewers just yet, so we good.
We had to wrangle them kids before we got on here. Well, I did at least.
So I do have to tell y'all something that just happened.
Oh Lord.
So I was in Sam's Club right before I got up in here, and I seen this lady. I was about to check out, and she looked like she had an attitude. So I had to break the ice, and I was just like, first of all, I couldn't find my car, so I almost flipped out because I was like, all these groceries, and I can't find my car. But I gave her my card, and it has like the clinical cookout information on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh my God, like I'm going through something right now, and like this just has to be God." And she was just like, "Thank you so much, hey Vanuki." She's like, "Thank you so much. I really, really needed this right now." I was overjoyed.
Aww.
You're so sweet.
You know how I do.
You know what that just reminded me? Elijah ran into some clinical psychologist from Buffalo at the cigar shop, and he teaches a course at one of the colleges back at home, and Elijah plugged in the clinical cookout there as well. So hopefully he tell all of his students.
We love to see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of clinical psychologists, we got one.
Ow.
Auntie Amber has her clinical psychology test, and now can call herself clinical psychologist.
Yes.
And can't nobody say nothing. Can't nobody say doctor of psychology now. No, I said what I said.
Mm-hmm. Just waiting on that license. I'm gonna need them to speed up on that so I can, because I still feel like y'all know I have anxiety, so I still feel like while I'm waiting, something gonna happen. They're gonna be like, "Oh, just kidding, sorry, we changed some of the stuff. Y'all gotta you gotta do something else."
You're right. Well, you gotta do something else.
To our viewers, Auntie Amber's anxiety is insane. She passed this test and she texted us and said, "I barely passed." We like, a pass is a pass. A win is a win.
A win is a win.
Oh man. But well, speaking of anxiety though, because my anxiety is like off the chain. It's pretty bad. Like it gets to the point where it affects my relationships. Like I'm anxious, so I'm like angry at everybody, arguing with everybody, friends, husband, kids. Like it's ridiculous. And I've been working over the years on how to manage it. But when it's a big stressor like that, I still haven't figured it out. And I'm a clinical psychologist, and I still ain't figured it out.
We don't be knowing how to do this stuff. We don't be knowing how to life either. We don't life right all the time either. We deal with stuff too. Auntie Amber's anxiety still gets the best of her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but y'all know what helps though? My song.
What's your song? Oh,
my song get me hype every time. Glorilla. Tomorrow with Cardi. That thing get me hype every time.
We coined that.
This is our Wheel of Ratchet. Tomorrow is our anthem. That's the TCC anthem.
Yep, definitely.
That's how we gonna know. Because when you said they said they don't with me, but I say they can't with me, I was like, okay, they can't cuss with you. But we already knew that you passed.
Yeah.
Hey, Venetia.
Hey, Tasha.
Hey, Tasha. And KB. What's up, KB?
KB.
I'm so glad I've met KB now. Like, I'm so glad I know who this is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love KB. I don't like saying her name like that. I know she'd be looking at me like I'm crazy.
Well, let me tell y'all about good friends. So I have this crazy rigorous schedule right now where I'm working 12-hour shifts for like a month and a half straight. And I have to. Huh?
At your practice?
Well, there and with some other stuff that I do.
Oh.
And but I got to do it, right? Because it has to be done. KB comes And like I try to set her up, but like she comes, she sits with the kids, she puts them in the bed, and when I get home, like my house is clean, my kids is bathed, they put in the bed, she do homework, like they go to their I mean the other day on Monday they went to taekwondo, piano, Girl Scouts, and she went and got each of them from all their prospective little their little programs. I was
Wow.
like,
Come through,
I
KD.
Oh,
Come through with the support that we need. Come
That's
through.
dope.
women support women.
yep.
Yes.
Hmm. I
She's
love
like
that.
a triple D bra.
Yeah.
Triple? We can't even get an F or a G on that one.
I mean, nobody wants to really be an F or a G, but
Listen,
Not
maybe
serious.
maybe a triple D bra on me because it'll fall off. That's not support. I'm not
Uh-huh.
big out here.
Well, hey Amber.
hey, Ambular.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
So what we got for today? Any cool topics trending? I ain't even been on social media today.
Well, today was supposed to be some questions
Yep.
because it's
Oh,
to ask her.
hmm.
I don't think I promoted it as an asker because our last one was an asker.
Okay.
So I
Well,
just tell people, come with your questions or your mental health concerns, relationship questions, whatever. Um, but I haven't really been in the Twitter streets today. I did make a quick video regarding something that came up, but I don't know if y'all want to go there. So we're gonna wait for folks.
well, I got a comment today, not necessarily a question, but I did think that it was worthy to mention. Um, so a girl broke up with her boyfriend, but she is attacking. Okay, hold on one second, Venetia. Hold on one second. You know what? We'll answer Venetia's question. I'll go into the other stuff later.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So Venetia asks, oh, good question. How do you differentiate between laziness or depression?
Mm. Oh man.
Mm.
I got a different take on laziness. I struggle with that word, period. When clients come to me and tell me they haven't been productive or they had just a day or two in the week where they felt like they didn't get anything done, they were lazy. I like to reframe that because oftentimes that means your body needs rest. I actually just told Auntie Amber that the other day because she said she was asleep, knocked out. I was like, your body needed the rest. That's not lazy. That's your body telling you to sit down. But when it comes to depression, that's not like lazy either. Now you have a clinical diagnosis. This is not lazy implies you can do something about it. Lazy implies that it's all on you. You are choosing to not do the thing or to just sit and not do anything. Depression, on the other hand, that's one of the symptoms is not being able to function. It impacts your daily functioning. You could feel really exhausted. You could have physical symptoms that manifest. So if we're talking about diagnosed depression, that's not laziness, period.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. When it comes to depression, it's like it's the feeling that everything, even the smallest thing, it takes a whole lot of effort for you to do it. So you don't do it because it takes you so much more energy, so much more effort to get up and even like wash a dish or pick up your dirty pants off the floor. Laziness is more of if you just looking at it like, I just ain't doing that. Like I just don't want to, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's just like the level of energy and lack of motivation to do things. And with depression, we know that it has something to do with some of the chemicals in your brain and having less of some and more of others. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree with that, Auntie Ashley.
With
Oh, I have some questions rolling in. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Chip.
no, I was gonna say with laziness is and I don't know if Auntie Ashley or Auntie Amber already explained it, but you have all the tools to do it. You just choose not to. I think it's like kind of synonymous with procrastination. It's just like I'm not doing it. And it's more so just because I'm lazy. I can fix it if I wanted to, but I'm making a conscious choice because I don't feel like doing anything. But laziness could be an indicator of depression too.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it slightly differs from procrastination because I'm a procrastinator. It's something I struggle with for years. And I tell people all the time who are like, I want to change that. I'm like, you're not going to change it if you always get good results. Like I can procrastinate on a thing and still do well. As long as you still do well, you're going to consistently procrastinate. That has to be something you really, really want to change. And sometimes you just won't. So that's different because you still get the thing done. You just stress yourself out doing it at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think I say that it's a part of laziness is because when you procrastinate, you have a whole, like, say, like you have a week. Some people just choose not to take that time because they don't want to, because they don't do something. So that's why I say it could look like procrastination looks like laziness. Laziness looks like procrastination. And it's like, oh, you didn't really do it because you was lazy, but you procrastinated because you was lazy, or you procrastinated because you just didn't want to do it. But to me, they always are synonymous. But sometimes procrastination is a motivator for people because it's like, if I work best at the last minute, then, and I keep, like you said, I get stuff done, then you get secondary gain from it. So you just keep on doing it. Don't mean it's right or helpful, but.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Sean. Oh, my brother-in-law is watching. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Sean. And our girl Amika here. Hey.
And I'm sorry, y'all, but Mercy gonna have to rock it out with us today because she just don't feel good and won't get away.
That's all right.
And we got a question here about busy mamas right here. Well, before we go into that though, I think Venetia had a follow-up question. I think I saw it. Oh, with the depression, does it change if you start medication?
Sometimes.
For some people, yeah, it can. And sometimes it can't. So I don't prescribe medications, but I do let clients know that, so for one thing with mental health, we can never say 100% that this is only depression that's affecting you, right? There are always some other factors that are impacting you that maybe we're not aware of, or that maybe don't come out in therapy or in an evaluation. And so let's say that you do have significant depression, but you also have anxiety. Maybe it's not clinical levels. And let's say you have ADHD on top of that, right? If you're taking a antidepressant medication, sometimes that has adverse impact on your ADHD symptoms. So whereas, you might not feel as depressed, you're probably going to like feel real hyped up or just kind of weird. So medication is just, it's difficult to say like, yes, this will help for this person, because there's almost always some other factor that's impacting you. If it is just depression, it should. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to piggyback off of that. And medication is not a fix-all either. So she was asking about laziness. Does laziness subside with depression? Laziness is inherent. If you're just a person that just doesn't want to do much, then you might not be depressed and you might still be lazy. But if you are lazy because of the depression, then sometimes people who are not depressed, they get up, all of a sudden they could clean, they could cook, they can do all the things that the depression was keeping them away from. But some people be lazy because they're tired, because we are busy mothers.
That is not lazy. That's what I mean by that's not lazy. That's your body telling you sit down.
Yeah, but your body shouldn't always be telling you to sit down now.
No, it shouldn't.
Look, I've been lazy, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all, this past week, I come home from work, I lay down, and I don't get up. Like, I'm in the bed from the time I get home until it's time for dinner. Like,
but Auntie Amber, you just said, I come home from work. That implies that you done work today. And a lot of people think that if you don't work in a physically demanding field, you should be tired. But there is mental exhaustion. There is a such thing as mental exhaustion. I can't mentally talk to anybody, do anything. I'm going to sleep.
True.
And after working so hard, after what you did, Amber is a mother. And I see you, Taritha. We're going to talk about busy mothers. Amber is a mother. You are a worker. You have been studying. You are a wife. The choice that you made was to be lazy, right? But it's after working so hard to reach a goal.
Yeah, that's true. So then the question here is, how do you handle life when it feels like life is handling you? Especially as I'm just going to say a busy parent, parent in general, or a busy person.
Not Shonda with the pass out. She fainted.
Shonda, how you
Huh?
do that? How you do that? How you handle life when it's handling you? Because right about now, you
Can
talk
I
about these 12 and a half hour days. I feel like life is handling you. So what
can
you
I answer
doing?
for Suge? Can I first answer for her and she can tell me if I'm right? She's gonna be pissed at me. Rashonda don't stop. She don't know how to rest. She don't know how to take a break. Everything for her, and that's good that Lanisha said lazy. Because for Suge, stopping is lazy. She is too highly motivated to stop. You literally have to force her to sit down. So these 12-hour days she talking about, she gonna run them like they 2-hour days where everybody else will be toe up.
And I am now.
See?
I will admit that's the reason why I'm always on go mode is because I'm afraid of failure. And I've never, you know what I mean? Like nobody's coming. It's up to me. Like nobody's gonna save me. Nobody's gonna come and do all. I can't call somebody and be like, "Hey, can I borrow my mortgage money?" It's not happening. So I go because I want to be successful. But when life is handling you, sometimes you have to take a step back and see why life is handling you, what's handling you. So I'll give an example. I had to take a step back from some stuff and been like, I can't do that. And that was hard for me. But my therapist was like, Rashonda, you need a not do list. So she made me make a not do list. I ain't never had nobody tell me make a not do list. You always hear to do list, but she told me make a not do list. So I had to make, you know what, today I will not do the laundry. I will leave that to somebody else or I'll wait till tomorrow. Today, if I have a day off, I'll take it and not go volunteer somewhere because who does that but me? Today, I will when I go to work, I will make sure that my sessions are only 45 minutes and then my notes will be 15 minutes long. So I have to make things to not do. And also, I had to put in a life boundary. So I was telling my friend the other day, the sun just does not come falling out of the sky because it got created boundaries. The ocean does not tsunami every day because the boundary is it comes up to the shore and then it goes back where it belongs. You have to be that boundary that say get back where you belong. I'm doing this today and only this. So I start making not do lists because I am very high functioning.
And she needs accountability partners. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes one of us got to get on her about that. Of just
Yeah.
if you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna do it. Meaning we gonna make sure you're not doing it. So you need accountability partners sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh
I don't really handle life very well when it's handling me. And that's when my accountability partners come in. And they're like, "Yo, you need to chill out. Remember, you like to listen to music. You need to sit down, go do this." My husband has actually been he get on my nerves, but he been great over the past couple of months with stepping in and making sure that I, calm down, chill, relax a little bit after work. Because what I will do if don't nobody stop me, I will come home from work and write reports all day long just because I feel like my work has a handle on me. Like I can't get behind. I can't have a list. Like I have to make sure all of these things are done before the end of the week. And so it does take somebody to step in and say, all right, like after this time, you don't need to be doing any work and you don't need to be doing any parenting. Like you do get time to sit back and relax, watch TV, listen to music, whatever you want to do. And then if after that time you want to get up and do some work or do something with the kids or whatever, then that's your choice. But you do have to have that me time as well.
See, I'll admit I'm the opposite of both these two. It ain't nothing for me to sit down. I actually have to have people tell me, get up and do something. You should have did something today. I'm like, well, I didn't feel like it. So I have that problem. Like I said, I'm a procrastinator too. So for me, it's like if something is not pertinent, it doesn't have to go on my list. Like it's not pertinent. I have a house with 4 children. It is not pertinent that my house looks like a showroom all the time. It's just not. I don't care. The house is lived in, and that's that. So I'm not going to be cleaning up from top to bottom every day or doing XYZ every single day. I'm just not going to do it. But work for me and like the podcast and things like that, those things are important in my kids and stuff like that. So I have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, I'm not going to work. Like Elijah tell me last night I was in the office and he was like, you waited until 10 o'clock to decide to start checking emails. He was like, really? Like, I'm trying to watch TV with you. Let's go. So I have to be, then I'm like, okay, take me away. But during the day and stuff, I'm way more chill than Auntie Shug and Auntie Amber. Shug be telling me to do stuff.
Get your ass up and do something. No, I'm
Don't
just
you got a
kidding.
kitchen to clean? That's me.
She'll be like,
Man,
why
that
you
kitchen.
sleep?
Oh,
She be why you now I won't have a client until later in the day. And if I don't have a client until later in the day, I'll still be asleep. She'll be like, now really? Why are you still asleep? What
oh my God. Mercy getting some love. Where you at, Mercy? Mercy. Look, Venetia said, hey, Mercy.
So did
Somebody
Marie.
else said, hey to Mercy, too. Marie said, hey, Mercy.
Mercy out here?
So currently, life is handling me because my husband is gone. I'm with these kids. I'm working 12-hour shifts at work, and Mercy doesn't feel good.
Mm.
Aw. Aw.
I do judge people sleep.
She
Listen, I
She,
have a thing. I don't like when people sleep too long. I don't know what it is. It just annoys me.
What is wrong with you? How does it bother you that somebody is getting rest?
Because I'm like, don't y'all got stuff to do?
not everybody up at 4 o'clock in the morning like you.
Right.
We don't do that. Okay.
Oh,
Especially not on the weekend.
oh God, Elijah is on here. Oh God.
Where he at? What he say?
My husband on here, y'all. This is why I'm being truthful, because he'll come through and say it.
If tasks mount up, then the break was irrelevant. So what did you gain?
Well, that's when my anxiety kicks in. Then I have too many tasks and don't know where to start. So it's a never-ending cycle, and it sucks. And I think I might have a touch of ADHD. I got to get checked for that.
It's possible. Let's see. We had some more questions that came through. Give me a second. All right. Tasha asks, do you think we can do better with the school system and children that are having trouble referring to these school shootings? Don't you think we all have a responsibility as well?
Can I take that one right now?
Go ahead, girl. Do your thing.
So currently, even right now, I'm dealing with not that exact similar like that kind of thing even at work, and I think that parents don't take enough accountability for school shootings. So for me, why are weapons not locked up? Why are we not checking into what's going on with our kids? Are we looking at them? Are they depressed? Some people literally don't believe that a kid can be depressed because people will fix their mouth and say, "What do you have to be depressed about? You got food on your table, you got clothes on your back, and I mean, you got electronics in front of your face." But they don't realize that kids have bigger problems than that. Are they hearing you argue all day? Are you dismissing their feelings? And then you'll hear things like, "Well, my mama beat me and I'm okay. These kids don't mind, and that's why they're all messed up." But some people don't take accountability and that they play a big part and a big role in the reason why their kids feel the need to harm other people. And yes, there's bullying that can make you feel the need to harm other people, but then that's still on other parents of bullies. And so I think if everybody took accountability for their kids, America is a system right now where everybody works and most people prefer not to be with their kids. However, when you actually raising them and you're actually putting your stuff into them, like, don't bully, don't harm people. If you have a gun closet, lock your gun up, show them how to actually really use guns if they're going to be doing stuff like that. I just don't think that we take enough accountability as parents. And I think if the laws were whenever your kid does something like that, let's see how they got access to it. Let's see all of that. I think that if somebody was held accountable, just one family was held accountable, all of this stuff would change. Because the guy who shot up Buffalo, the Tops in Buffalo, that was my dad's store. The guy who shot up all the black people in Buffalo had a whole manifesto and access to weapons and talk to people about everything that was going to happen. So when those people are not held accountable, people run amok, as well as the shooter. That's my tangent. I'm sorry.
I want. I agree. Auntie should parents should be held accountable too. Auntie Keish been quiet, and we know. And let's just they know. Auntie Keish ain't been feeling too well. She said it on her own TikTok, so I can say it. She ain't been feeling too well, but she does work specifically with gun violence. So I do want Auntie Keish, if you could, just give us your take on that.
Um, I personally believe that this country has an accountability problem. We didn't start, or guns were first initiated with the fourth president of the United States, James Madison, back in the I think, no, back in the 1700s, when it came to the Second Amendment rights. And based off of the material that we base our laws off of was in a different time frame. So those same laws don't apply to today. And instead of us revamping them for responsible gun ownership, we're going off of a document that was created 400 years ago, which I think is just not applicable today. So I think that there may be some changes if there were possibly what Auntie Shiv talked about having accountability for parents, but I also think this country has an accountability issue when it comes to guns.
And before you go back to resting your voice, Elijah got a good question too. Do you think the conversation would change if the demographics were different for the shooters or different of the shooters?
Absolutely. I do think that there is a hierarchy when it comes to who can do who can perform an act or do something with a gun and their consequences versus another demographic. As you know, African Americans and minorities are already put in the system disproportionately to white Americans. And we know that, stand your ground law is different when it comes to white men versus black men. We know that when black men are out with their concealed weapons in like open carry states, they may be treated differently, like thugs or like criminals and things of that nature, when they have the same right as a white American, but they will be treated very differently. So absolutely, I think color and race does go a part of this, regardless of what anybody says. The research backs that up.
Mm-hmm. Auntie Keisha's resting her voice because she got the laryngitis bronchitis.
Shut up, Shug. What? What are you talking about?
She got the
laryngitis, bronchitis.
That's not even different things. That's not even a thing.
Oh my God. All right. Next question.
Yes, I am sick, unfortunately. So when y'all were talking about life taking a handle of you, life sat my ass right on down.
And you still won't sit down.
But
I had to have a whole conversation with you to get you to even consider sitting down, and you still didn't.
Because Auntie Keisha's another one that's nobody's coming. It's up to her. And that's the driver that'll make you work until you got the brown laryngitis.
Thank you, me. Well, I'm starting to change that. I'm starting to change my mentality to, I don't know if anybody on TikTok, but they have that sound where get somebody else to do it. That's where I'm at. Get somebody else to do it. That's where I'm at.
Good.
Now you hear that, TJ? Where Taretha at? Get somebody else to do it.
Wait, is that? Never mind.
She the one who asked the question. Go ahead.
Did we skip any questions? I'm going back up to see.
I got you right here. Amber had a question.
Okay.
How do you motivate a teen diagnosed with depression, especially if it's affecting school and schoolwork and attitude? I really think she should really reevaluate her friends at school, but kids think parents don't know anything. Kids absolutely do think that.
It's called egocentrium.
Get them with the word. Get them with the word.
You over there studying, Keisha?
Yep.
With teenagers, man, it's hard. One of the biggest things is that they have to buy into whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do or trying to plan with them. Like you can't say, oh, I think this is best for you. I need you to get up and go do this or whatever. You have to kind of be very creative about kind of making it seem like it's their idea and getting them to buy into it. And if all else fails, you can use rewards to kind of start to get certain behaviors to increase. But with teenagers, therapy is helpful because this is like a really intense time in their lives. And if they get a good therapist who can relate to them really well and kind of help them understand what's happening using like motivational interviewing type techniques, then it's a little easier to get through to them that way.
What's motivational interviewing techniques?
Oh, when you're not directing somebody to do something, it's like client-centered. You're kind of allowing them. You're just kind of asking questions to get them to come around to whatever it is you're trying to get them to see without being direct about it.
So another thing that's like Auntie Amber is saying is if they think that you telling them what to do, then they're going to be resistant. But if you make it, listen, this works with husbands, kids, If you make them think it was their idea, then you're on to something, because they just got to think. Egocentrism
Mhm.
and self-focused attention. Teens at the point at this time thinks everything is about them.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
If you move, you can say, I gotta move because of your job. And they're like, that affects me. And you like, it affects everybody. But they're in their head, it affects me. They go to school, everybody's looking at me. Okay, so everybody stopped and decided to look at you. Teachers, if they're doing bad at their grades, oh, they're just doing this because they don't like me. Everything is about them. And so if you make the, like you said, the motivational interview about them and make them think that they're doing something by directing their own life in the way that they should go with your little bit of guidance, it's helpful.
Mhm. And I just wanted to touch on her saying, she believes she needs to reevaluate her friends. That's a situation that I'm currently dealing with, not with a teenager, but with my younger son. And this idea of that is not a good friend for you. This person is not good for you.
Come on.
But with kids and teenagers in general, they don't really understand that. They want to choose their own friends. That's the one thing that they feel like they have control over. Like, I can pick my friends. I personally think that part of it you have to allow that. You have to allow them to learn how to build discernment. If you are choosing for them or telling them you can't hang out with this person, they'll never really build up that discernment factor for themselves, being able to see somebody and learn quickly. Nah, this is not a good person for me. I don't think this is a good person for me. And that'll go over into relationships too, because I'm sure it's enough women and men watching right now who have been in a relationship and somebody on the outside said, I don't think that's a good person for you. I don't think you need to be with them. And what did you do? I make up my own mind. I think they're a good person. I'm staying with them. You have to let people, in some cases, even teenagers, learn it for themselves.
We call those natural consequences.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and just one other thing too about, well, teens, but anybody with depression, is identifying what the source of it is, or at least some contributing factor. Because again, there's an analogy that I used to use that one of my supervisors hated because it involves fire, but I love it because it explains identifying the source so well. In terms of, if you're looking at a fire, the flames are the symptom. So you have a kid who just kind of like doesn't want to do anything, doesn't seem motivated, doesn't have fun doing anything. They look sad all the time, and you're trying to do things to make them smile or make them get out of the house. So you're only putting out the flames. But if you don't know where it started or what's contributing to it, then it's going to continue to come back up until you address whatever that is. So that's why for teenagers, I do always suggest therapy for sure, because it kind of digs in and gets down to that, rather than just asking them like, what's the problem? Why are you acting like that? I don't understand. You have someone who's helping them come around to it themselves.
Um, Another thing I think that is important, even with teens, when you want to know something, my supervisor has always taught me this, which I will use for the rest of my days, is always come from a posture of curiosity instead of accusatory. I know that it could be difficult to do, but if you ask questions in just a more wanting to know type of tone and wanting to, understand, a place of understanding, I think you get a better response, specifically from a teen, because all teens want to do is be heard and know that somebody understands their world. That's all. They trying to get somebody in their world. So,
What's funny, Auntie Keish? I think everybody wants to be heard and seen. A lot of us feel, even as adults, if you don't feel heard and seen, that's going to lead to some issues. So that's everybody.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, with teenagers, what I've noticed is that they're very big on genuine people and authenticity. So even if you change your tone in how you're asking them something for it to be curious, they pick up on you being fake. Like, oh, you just asking me that way to get me to talk about it or whatever. So it does come with some level of changing your own perspective about what's happening. So we were talking about laziness versus depression. If you're thinking about your teenager as just being lazy, the types of questions you ask them, the way you interact with them, it's going to be different than if you understand what depression is and you shift your perspective. You're going to ask different questions and you're going to ask them in a different way.
mm-hmm.
Another thing too is that I think that people misconstrue the behavior in teens for bad whenever they're acting out or Oh, that's my mama, Keisha. She like you. Uh,
Love you, Miss Linda. Hi, Linda.
like a lot of people, whenever teens are acting out, or they're starting to get fast or hot in the tail, they misconstrue that as a person being bad, when it doesn't mean that the teenager is bad. They're doing their job. If you literally think about it, as a teenager doing their job, as a teenager, you're not supposed to be buttoned up like an adult. That's literally the time where you are figuring out life, where you're starting to push boundaries. What can I do? I'm the opposite sex. How can I get to the opposite sex? Your hormones are changing. Your period has come. The testicles descend or the balls drop. All these things are happening, and it makes them act out. It's literally their job. So if we kind of handle it like it's your job to be a teen and act out, and it's my job to be a parent and rectify the behavior, then we'll stop putting unnecessary that person is bad or that person is fast off on the teen, and actually help them change the behavior, because their brains don't fully form until they're 25. So
I love that. I love that you said that, Shug, because I'm reading a book called, if you guys want to get it, it's by Dr. Gopnik. She's a developmental psychologist, and her book is called The Carpenter and the Gardener. And she talks a lot about how the adolescent phase in childhood is an immaturity. It's just like an immaturity stretch. And she talked about how parents kind of think of parenthood as being a carpenter versus being a gardener. And she talked about how a carpenter basically looks at like things like precise, the right measurement, like everything going and fitting the right way, when really in actuality, childhood and teenage years are more like a gardener or a garden. Like you don't know, you can plant the seed, but you don't know how the fruits and vegetables are going to grow. It's like just you just allow the garden to grow and see what comes up versus being a carpenter trying to fit everything perfect. And what Auntie Shook said was so good. Your kids are not going to be act like an adult. They're supposed to be kids for a reason. They're supposed to be having these immaturity, you know, type of I guess phase or part of their lives for a reason. Their brains aren't developed until they're 25. So absolutely, I'm so glad Auntie Shug got to say that, because I don't feel like a lot of parents. I feel like a lot of parents want to be the carpenter instead of the gardener.
And I'm so glad y'all both said what you just said, because something that I tell myself consistently, I have a 14-year-old. I tell myself consistently when anything's happening with her, first, I check myself, because a lot of times the very things you get upset with your children about, they are like you. Remember, they have half of your DNA. So some of those traits are so much like you that you're seeing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to see it in them, but you are that way as well. But something I consistently try to tell myself is, Ashley, remember when you were a teenager? Where were you when you were a teenager? What were you thinking about? What were you going through? And it helps me relate, because I'm like, I was a teenager once. I think we get grown and older and we forget what it was like to be a teenager. And we also try to have our kids not follow and make the same mistakes we made, when they are human beings who have to learn and make mistakes. And we, like Auntie Keith said, we try to be a carpenter instead of a gardener. So you really have to allow your children to have autonomy and just be. You have to know in yourself that I've done what I can. I've raised them. I've poured into them. Now I just have to wait and see. I have to wait and see. And I'll always be there to support them when they need me. But remember what you were like as a teen. Remember your teenage years when you're dealing with your teens.
If anybody's interested, here's the book. Whoop.
Ooh.
There it is. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to say that they consider race and racial, looking for that culturally competent, but it's just a good overall view of like childhood and the adolescence. And yeah. So here's a book if you're interested.
And sorry, I just want to say hey to Nisi. You finally called us. We're glad you called us.
Hey,
Yay.
No, yeah, I think that some of that stuff is very important. And then I did a family session today, and it was super cool, because as parents, I don't think we check ourselves and our own behavior. When it comes to when it comes to our kid, do as I say, not as I do, and just what we're modeling. So if you're showing them aggression constantly, then you wonder why they're so aggressive towards you. That's always puzzling because it's like, okay, now I have to look back and see, what am I doing? What can I change? It's just like a teacher. If you're not connecting with the child, it's always the teacher because you are mature enough, you're older, and you're actually taught how to deal with these things. As parents, we're mature, we're older, we've already been through that stage. So you should be able to come from a place of knowing, learning, and now you're supposed to be teaching.
Mhm. Mhm.
But also show yourself some grace as a parent too, because none of us walks into parenting knowing how to parent. I always tell people it's no cookie cutter way to parent. There are no true parenting experts. I hate that. There are no parenting experts. There are things that you can try, and everything looks different in different families, and you parent each child differently. So you might not get it right all the time. There is no real right. We out here trying. That's all you can do is try, but make sure you
Yeah.
try. Don't just stand by what you traditionally felt was right or how you were raised, because everything your parents did wasn't right either, but they did the best they could. But when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Yo, Shook said modeling. That's like a big, huge term. So glad you said that. That modeling is very important. What you model and what you want your kids to do, well, you have to model it first. I say that all the time when I'm working with parents. Typically, the parents have to change first in order for the kids, for that to, transition down to the child. I work with children 0 to 6. So I work with little small babies. So modeling. Shook said it.
Mhm.
Well, I did have a situation today where it involved modeling, but it wasn't on the part of the parent; it was on the part of the peers. And so the mom was telling me that, the kid. I'm gonna try not to cry when I talk about this, but it's a little black boy, and the mom was telling me how he's switched from 3 different schools within the same district or county or something like that. And at each of these schools, and these are not predominantly white schools, but he's being picked on. He's being called a monkey, being called a nigger, all kinds of different things. Um, and then he was, kind of saying these things while he's gaming to the people in the game, just really like literally monkey see, monkey do, right? Like hearing that was not the right term to use in this situation. My bad. Hearing something, seeing his peers do that, and then going directly and doing that to other peers because this has happened to him in 3 different settings by his peers. And at the age of what, 8, 9, 10, it shifts less from your parents modeling to now I'm looking at the people around me that are my age and I want to do what they do. And so now he thinks, okay, this is how I relate to peers. This is how I'm supposed to get along with people. This is what they do to me so that I do that to them. So me, trying to help the mom understand that this is what's happening. It's very clear this is what's happening. Your child is not, a mean child. He's not unkind, but he's seeing these things from other people. And in his little mind, it's like, oh, so they're mean to me. And, like that's how they're talking to me. So I need to do this to other people. So I guess I just say that to be mindful of what your kids are seeing. You're not always going to know what's being modeled for them. You're not always going to be there to see it. And you're not the only person that they're watching. As they start to get older, they start to see other things in the community.
That is so true. I was just watching something where they said, I was watching, well, not watching, but I was reading comments in another about the teacher that got shot by the 6-year-old. Did you guys see that? The teacher that got shot, she survived, but they in the comments, everybody was in there talking about, well, that child knows right from wrong. I'm like, he's 6. Like, how do we know that what he saw people shooting and like thought that's what he was supposed to do? Like, he didn't know. Um, what they were saying, like the child might have had some physical or some intellectual disability, and like that's another thing. Sometimes not all children are neurotypical. Like not all children have the same brain, and there are certain things that they're going to receive that maybe another child is going to receive a different way. So I'm not excusing this student or this kid from shooting this teacher. What I'm saying is everybody in those comments was jumping to he knew right from wrong. Well, how do I know that? I don't know if he knew right from wrong. I don't know what his parents was teaching him or what he saw outside of his home. Who knows? But you're right. What sometimes a kid models, they think that they may be right because they're like, oh, well, I don't know. This is what they're doing, and they're accepting it. Maybe this is what I should do. I think
And
that
you
was a
know what
great.
that brings me to is consequences. Because I think that whenever we're saying like you got to model good behavior for your kids and it's always you, check the parent. I think sometimes I send out the message that a kid don't have consequences. I don't believe in that. I believe that you got natural consequences and I might be one of your natural consequences. So like with my kids, um there's like a situation where my daughter has a phone now, and little middle school girls are rough. That's a time where you're getting to know yourself. That's a time where people put all their insecurities on you because they're getting to know themselves too. And some of the things that those girls talk about, and some of the things that probably even the boys talk about, it's not pretty. And so a natural consequence is me interjecting because now you're embarrassed about the conversations that you've been having or the things that have been said to you. And so I've even had to interject with friends and be like, listen, we don't talk like this. So now I'm in your Kool-Aid. Now I'm all up in your chili because I see you got a little bit too much cayenne pepper in there. We don't talk like this. And if you're going to be talking to my child, this is how you're going to respect each other. And so that's the consequences. And if you can't respect this boundary that we're setting up, then I can have the phone. There's nothing wrong with discipline. Some people even do corporal punishment. That's your business. As long as you're not harming somebody and you're actually teaching somebody how to life, then you still have to teach your kids. Anything just does not go.
Yeah, I agree. The girls have phones, the boys not yet, but um, my 9-year-old son, he uses our iPad to kind of talk to his friends on FaceTime or whatever because some of them have phones. But he knows, he actually told them, my mom checks these messages. He told them that. And so they now know, hey, watch it. Watch what you say because my parents will take this away and I won't be talking to y'all. So there, you have to make your children aware of what consequences will be. And it doesn't always take severe forms of punishment. Not that, like Atisha said, if corporal punishment is your thing, cool. But if you have a child that is of understanding age, you can talk. You can talk, you can make them understand, and you can do things that are far worse. Like for me, when I was young, if my mother took stuff away, that was worse than a spanking. The spanking lasts for the time of the spanking, and then it's done. You're fine, you're done crying, you're good. But if you start to take things away or you start to implement other type of consequences, that can actually be more impactful. So I just want people to know that there are multiple ways to make children understand your actions have consequences.
And
And
Elijah got
Is that me making stuff echo? No, I'm not.
No.
Oh, I was gonna say, since we're on the topic of behavior management and consequences, one of the things that's very important. Well, actually, first Elijah has a question, and then I'll go into that. I didn't see that. So Elijah asked, "What are the options when children aren't faced by natural consequences?"
Because we struggling out here, y'all. We struggling out here with these kids. Struggling. I'm just gonna be real and transparent. I believe that we are being the best parents we can be, but we struggling out here. They don't seem to care. They don't seem to care about the consequences.
That's when I implement unnatural consequence. I am the natural consequence. So whenever, okay, you did something and we'll say mercy. If I keep on saying stop jumping off the bed and then you bust your head to the white meat, that's a natural consequence because it was a consequence that was going to happen if you kept on doing that. Now, there are times where I'm like, I told you that. So now I'm the consequence. So with that, I do take things. And I love to take things that I know that you want. So what I did yesterday in the therapy session, I'll give you an example, Elijah. This little smart aleck boy was just like, doesn't matter. I don't have anything. I don't have the game anyway. And I was like, well, what if you could spend more time with dad? He's like, More time. I'm like, yeah. What if everywhere he went, you went? What if he went to the gym and what if you went to the gym? What if he went to school and what if you went to school and had to sit in the back of the classroom? What if everything dad did, you did? He was like, I don't ever want to do anything like that. Oh, you don't? Well, let's try it and see. Because now you made up your own consequence. And now I know exactly what does phase you. So that was just like a manipulation tactic. And so now his new consequence when he acts a plumb fool is now you're going everywhere with your dad. Teenagers don't want to be around their parents all day. That is the most awkward thing ever. And so maybe try that as a consequence to make you act right. I have to do this. I try everything. Spanking a teenager is out for me because I mean, at that age, you hitting a grown body. But at the same time, it's like I try everything. Like let me find out what makes you tick and what you don't want, and then that's what we're gonna do to make you have natural consequence. And I'm not opposed to smoking a kid. I will listen. You will push, and push up off that ground. Oh God, we talking about Asa. You got to figure out.
I was gonna say we're not talking about the teenagers, Suge. We're not even talking. We talk about the 70s.
But people. I don't know what's the matter with the boy, but people got a lot of different age kids. I would smoke Asa too. What my natural consequence with Isaac is if you don't get your grades up, he don't care about losing the phone.
Can you clarify what you mean by smoking a kid? Because I just need you to define that before you continue.
Military folks know what I'm talking about. I'm about to go into that. Okay. Sometimes kids don't care about the phone. Sometimes they don't care about the spanking. So now you can get on your face and you can do push-ups until I say stop. Or you can run around the neighborhood until I decide it's enough. I need some exercise anyway, so now you can come with me. And believe it or not, these lazy kids these days that just want to sit on their tablets will die. And what am I doing wrong? But giving you some physical education.
That would be controversial with certain segments of parents. I know Elijah wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but that can be deemed as torturous or several other things when we get into the gentle parenting and conscious.
Making a kid do some push-ups, if it's torture, then we're in trouble.
Well, that definitely, kind of smokes out my little gentle parenting behavior management I was about to talk about. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you keep the smoking. I ain't got to that point yet because my kids, like me being disappointed with them. If I act like I'm mad, they act like that's the end of the world. I ain't even got to put my hands on them or nothing. It's the end of the world if I look disappointed. That's their consequence.
Elijah took all the toys out of Asa's room. It did not bother him at all. I said, Asa, Dad took all the toys out of your room. Do you know why? He said, yep. I said, do you care? He said, I mean, I know why he did it. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And he went about his way. Baby Elijah? Oh, he was in tears. Why did Dad take everything? He was in tears. Asa did not care.
Because each kid reacts different. And Asa has the body of a 35-year-old 50 Cent. So his smoking might not bother him. But my son goes to Taekwondo, and I like that he goes to a place called Master Irvin, and Master Irvin is about discipline. I don't want to raise a male who doesn't know discipline. So if I tell you to get right and you're disrespecting me, or you're talking to me like you don't have the sense God gave a goose, or you going to school and you talking to your teachers like this, I'll tell his Taekwondo instructor. And guess what? You're going to run around this gym until I say stop. That's not child abuse. Nobody's abusing these kids. You don't want me to hit them. You don't want me to smoke them. You want me to gentle parent them when they're not gentle adulting me. That's the criteria that I don't tolerate. So,
what's funny? The only thing that phases Asa is food. If I say I'm not cooking, he melts down. But you can't starve him. I can't starve the boy. You would tell him go to bed with no food.
You can't starve him, but you can put the food out and tell him he got to make his own food.
He's fine with that. Now, as long as there is food, he's fine. I have to literally say there won't be food. One night I said I wasn't cooking, and it was a catastrophe. That changed everything.
Yo, not the mattresses on the floor. The mattress. No toilet, no dresser.
He ain't lying. We have Asa is one of the most independent-minded children I have ever seen in my life. It's just like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not. You can do all the things you want to do, and I'm still not.
Yeah, sound like Asa.
I got a question about that. What is it that one of the things that I think about when we talk about parenting is that what are some things y'all are willing to let go? Like, what are some things are y'all willing to not make a fuss about? Does every single thing need to be addressed? Does every single thing need to be harped on? Does every single thing need to be something that you have to react to? And the only reason why I'm asking that is because that's what I ask a lot of my parents. Because every single thing they're like, well, they did this, they did that. Okay, well, what can we let go? What is something that's really not? Yeah, pick your battles, Mika Brooks. Absolutely. What is the battle you want to have?
I like
Is his safety being compromised? Is he hurting anybody else in the house? What's the level of respect that y'all tolerate? And like, what's a line for y'all? Like, so that's what I would want to know. Like, what's the battle here? What's worth it?
I think if they're hurting themselves, somebody else, um, or just anything that can grow up and that can be detrimental to them, I check because I'm not raising you to be this human being that is in a world where you don't know how to live or you're disrespectful. So I think it is if I see the path that it's headed on, then I'm like, okay, I might have to head you off at the pass. Now my daughter's at this silly age to where you'll say, go do this, and she'll say no. And then she'll be joking. And so I'm like, stuff like that I let go. Other parents might be like, oh my gosh, she's so disrespectful and this, that, and the third. But things like that, okay, I'm letting her be herself. So I think I foster the behavior of being themselves, but there are points where kids step out of line for you and society, and you have to put them back in line. I've seen boys bow up on their mother. I have tons of nieces and nephews, and I've seen them bow up on their mother. That's not the stuff that you let go because it's only going to manifest later on. So if I see it's going to manifest into something that's going to be detrimental to you in your future, I check it.
Yeah, I agree. If it's going to be harmful to you or to someone else in any way, then yeah, that's where the line is drawn. But I like that, Auntie Keisha, and I actually agree with that. It's some things I feel like can be let go, but when you have two parents in the home, we might not agree on those things. Like Elijah is military. He wants a clean, spotless house, but I'm like, that's their room. If they want to live with Legos all over the floor, close the door. Nobody got to go in there but them. Let it be. But it's like, no, they need to learn how to clean up. And I'm like, or that could just be them. Like you're not going to necessarily change everything. And who is that actually harming? Now, if it's food or something, that's different because then you might be dealing with roaches and mice and all kinds of stuff. That's different. But if it's toys, like you got to pick your battle. And certain things don't phase me as much, but because they phase him, I'm like, y'all better do this so your daddy don't come in here yelling at y'all or mad at y'all. And with Asa, it don't matter.
Tasha Mack. As long as my kids don't run up, my kids and I talk about anything age appropriate. That's me. I'm for that.
Yep.
I agree with that. Like with that comment, because at the same time, like, you know what I mean, certain stuff has to be checked. And if they run it up, they ain't had no respect from jump anyway. Like, so that's when you have to assert dominance. My kids know in the house there's a parenting hierarchy. It's us against these kids. I'm gonna say that until they throw dirt on me and they ran by. It's us against these kids. And balance is two parents. People gonna get mad that I say that. Balance is two parents because what one might be willing to let go. Mothers, we're supposed to be gentle with our kids. We're supposed to teach our kids that no matter what you do, I'm going to love you to the end. And the dad's job is to be like, listen, if you keep doing stuff like that, people won't like you. They need to give them the reality. So they give sometimes those realities. And we're like, even though that's your reality, I still love you. So people still need to feel loved and cared for, even when they're being a-holes.
Oh, I'm gonna push back on that. I mean, granted, we all like to say ideally a two-parent home is the balance, but let me just say that's a healthy two-parent home. Every two-parent home isn't healthy, so there might not be balance there either. And all
Well, that's implied.
and all of us also know a lot of single mothers and single fathers that are doing what they need to do to raise their kids. And I mean, I don't want it to be like if it's a single parent home, it's going to be, you're not going to be as capable of of doing for that child or providing all the things that they do need when it comes to that balance, because that's a slippery slope.
But nobody said that. What I said is 2-parent home create balance.
It can be but see,
I don't care about everybody else. We can talk about those in different segments, but even if it's implied, I didn't say it. I said 2-parent homes, you have balance. You have dads teach you one thing, mom teach you another thing. All the other dynamics, I didn't even touch. So,
okay,
sue me.
I'm just telling you, it can be implied. I know how people in these internet streets get when they hear stuff, and out of context, that will be implied.
They can sue me.
So we don't want to get sued just yet. Like, let's run the money bags up before we decide to get sued for something. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what I said. So,
okay, all right. But it was something, because it seemed like everybody in the comments been on this parenting stuff for the entire live tonight. But Suge had something that she wanted to say early on, and I want to hear it because it was something about a boyfriend and a breakup and something. And I know Benicia wanted to hear it too. So what was that about?
Well, hold on, Tasha Mack. Thank you, Tasha Mack. I'm a single mom. However, it's true. It is harder and extremely unbalanced when it's just one parent. I got you. Thank you for having me, Tasha Mack.
Tasha got sense. I know Tasha personally. She got sense. I'm talking about the people who gonna hear it who don't got sense.
I say hi.
Because it's hard out here. The people who don't hear it. Hi, Mila. For the people who are going to hear it who don't have sense, when I'm talking about balance, yes, and healthy 2-parent dynamics, but whatever. So earlier, what was I saying?
You had a story, and then you stopped because Benicia had the first question, and you said you would tell us later.
Breakup, boyfriend, something.
No, that's going to take us into another like 30 minutes.
I got to put these kids to bed. I ain't got 30 minutes.
Auntie Amber gotta go. I mean, we if Keish and Suge don't have anything to do, we can stay an extra couple minutes to hear it. But Auntie Amber gotta go.
No, I'm by myself with 5 kids, so life is lifing me right now.
Right.
Y'all see Mercy? Y'all see Mercy? I never have kids on my live. She's on here. I try to like get them out of the room. It's just me.
She ain't doing good. Leave Mercy alone. Okay, we have one last question. One last question. So, what about being married and having I'm assuming, baby daddy? That parents differently. That parents differently than the. Ooh.
That's what I thought Suge was talking about when it came to balance. I thought you was talking about the different parenting styles. Like parents had to be on the same page. Like, you cannot have dad doing this. Mom is supposed to be making you feel like this, but then dad is on another planet over here.
But you get me. You know my brain. So
no, I just thought you was talking about parenting styles.
Yeah.
But with KB's question, that's the thing. When you have my home, we parent extremely differently.
But she's talking about a baby daddy and a marriage.
What about you're married and you have a baby father? Oh, never mind.
Parents differently.
Ew, okay, no, that's different.
Yeah, and it's really hard to navigate.
That's hard.
It's like, like how kids are different. Like, some kids will have a really hard time adjusting, going between the 2 different parenting styles. You'll probably see some behaviors, and then other kids recognize, like, all right, when I'm at mom's house, like, it is what it is. When I'm at dad's house, this is how it is when I'm at school. So you have some kids that are better at differentiating between, the different rules, and others where it just kind of meshes, and it can be a messy situation. And if y'all can't communicate, then that's going to be a problem.
I work with families who have that type of dynamic. And let me tell you, if you cannot get parents to talk and get on the same page and communicate, it does nothing but affect the child. Mm-hmm. Like, seriously, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know why so-and-so ain't visiting them, and y'all fighting and arguing because you got your kid doing this and they want you to be doing that. Get on the same page, please.
I was just gonna ask, how is the co-parenting dynamic? Do you have discussions? Do you communicate? You have to be able to talk and discuss the different parenting styles, even like I believe this, or I like to do this, I like to do that, and have those discussions. And also for me, is that child's father present and active? Because now that's where we differ too. That's where differences can come in too. Is this a present and active parent that's really trying to be there and be a good co-parent, or is this just somebody that's like, I don't want nobody raising my kid, but they're not there, they just want to step in when it's convenient? Because that makes a difference too. That makes it really hard to co-parent when you just want to show up when it's convenient.
One thing I do is I do parenting therapy. So like even with the kids, like I'll do therapy with the parents first. Like I just had to call a set of parents and was like, listen here, you're messing up your kid because y'all can't communicate. If y'all not together, I'm trying to figure out what's the problem. So where I'm teaching them communication first so that they can be a united front against the kids. And then we're gonna bring in like that step parent dynamic, because it's kind of like you gotta integrate. You want to integrate all aspects. You want to integrate the kids, you want to integrate the step parent, and then you want to integrate the parents so that everybody can communicate together. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I do. And I have a resource. There's a Our Family Wizard app where parents can actually communicate through an app. And what time you picking up little Junebug? What time you dropping him off? What is he going to be wearing? Do I need to feed him? There are literally apps to help people out with the parenting. But if you are stuck on the other person, or y'all can't get out of each other's way, that affects the kid. So if everybody has the kid's best interest at heart, then everybody will start acting accordingly.
Mm-hmm. The child is the priority, not y'all relationship, not y'all previous relationship, none of that. The child. So what is best for our child?
And that's something you have to clarify. Like if you're attending a parent group that Suge is running, you have to clarify what is everybody's goals, because not everybody's goals is the child. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's goal.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
So figuring that out, and then if everybody does get on the same page of, okay, I want this to work for my child, then we need to figure out what are the steps to get there.
Yep. True. Well, y'all, that was our last question, I think.
Yep.
Right. Well,
all right.
This is all about parenting. Y'all have some questions next live. We'll let y'all know when that's happening.
Yeah, but next week is our social worker episode. Yes. We're honoring our lovely Auntie Keish and all the wonderful social workers in this world. Mm-hmm. So y'all join us next Wednesday, same time, same place, right? YouTube. We're on 3 different places tonight, ain't we?
Right. We're on 3 places tonight, but recorded episodes only go on YouTube.
Amber, it's your turn to ask what y'all about to do.
What y'all about to do?
Why she always get right in the camera like that? Every time.
Oh, Nisi, it's at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday on YouTube.
Yep.
And Nisi, be triple D, okay? So I need you to go on YouTube, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And that way you get the notifications we're on. So you can come see my
and share, y'all. Share our podcast. Tell people who you know, send them to the clinical cookout, and let them know the Aunties is here smoking. Not smoking, but like
you better clarify. And actually go get the smoking police.
Not smoking, but you know what I mean. Like we hot on the grill with mental health. How about that?
Yes. Oh, we got a new slogan.
We hot on the grill. Smoking on the grill.
Hold on, I can't get too excited.
Oh my God. Gonna get too excited. Keith's gonna get too excited and start dying. Chill out.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Share, y'all. Share. We'll see y'all next week. Shawty, don't hang up.